Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. A bit of a tongue-in-cheek but genuinely serious video as well today. We're going to be taking a look at Hellraiser. Specifically, we're going to be taking a look at a question I found whilst just traversing the internet, as a lot of us have a lot of time now. Now, I found a question specifically: what is the point of Hellraiser? Now, in this video, I'm going to break down the question and the answers that I found, which I thought were very humorous. But I'm also going to give my thoughts on, one, why I like Hellraiser so much, but secondly, what the main themes are, I guess, that run through Hellraiser and what makes it so good. I.e., I guess, answering the question of what is the point in Hellraiser. So, dive in with me on this mission, this journey. And just straight from the top, this video is sponsored by my original fantasy horror short film, which I am crowdfunding for, and you can find the link to that down below in the description box. Please do go and check it out and support original indie horror films. But let's dive right into it, shall we? So I found, again, just traversing the interwebs, a very interesting question. Now, what is the point of the Hellraiser film franchise? Besides being tortured and turned into something physically terrible, why was Hellraiser actually created? What was the real purpose to create a movie that would scare the crap out of someone? Now, you'd think that they've almost answered their question in that opening statement. The point is to scare the crap out of people. But I also do feel that Hellraiser is a little bit deeper than that. Hellraiser isn't necessarily a scary film, in fact. I personally don't find it scary, and I know many people don't find it scary, and I don't think that's a huge surprise. But I saw this reply, and I found it very, very, very interesting how that is what they took from Hellraiser. So this is the one here from Gabriel. I wrote a whole essay for a class. Now, the specific talking points they get into is actually all pertaining to, apparently, BDSM versus homosexuality. It's a really, really weird take on Hellraiser. I can see why that's where they got it from, but I do feel that they are way off base. For these kinds of films, I think it's very important to keep in mind who the author is. Clive Barker is openly gay. The soundtrack was done by people who were very involved in queer cinema. And even when Hellraiser is not usually considered as queer cinema, it was only a year before it was filmed that the Pope, John Paul II, said that homosexuality was evil and took away support for LGBT associations. Now, I can see the logical leaps. He's way off base, but I can see the logical leaps. Now, he continues and says that Clive Barker takes this, along with many other things from the decade, including the association of BDSM and leather with the gay scene, and says, yes, we are the devil, a devil you should be afraid of, appealing and cool, very well articulated and stronger than you. Now, this is where I would start to disagree. I myself am not hugely familiar with the gay scene of that era, but BDSM is not necessarily associated just with homosexuality, so I find this to be a very strange narrative to go down. And then also the statement of Clive Barker basically saying, we, as in we homosexuals, are the devil. That's apparently what this chap took from Hellraiser. And then he's essentially saying that they're trying to groom people into becoming homosexuals for some strange reason. It's very, very odd. Don't really understand it. But I will say, I think he's incredibly off base. Now, he continues further. I feel that somehow Hellraiser was a strange way of empowerment for homosexuality. Instead of being the victims, or I assume that says buffoons, this time around they were Cenobites. People who have accepted to be called monsters, who don't mess with you unless you mess with them, using the puzzle. There is this constant duality, because we know torture is wrong, we know the way the Cenobites torture is horrible, but they also associate this with pleasure. It is perversion. Their love is supposed to be perversion. So Barker just embraces what people said about gay people back then and takes it to a whole new over-the-top level. Now, it's not strictly true. So, again, he's associating BDSM with gay people as the link there. Now, it's essentially just BDSM demons. The connotations of them being gay or homosexual has got nothing to do with it. But I do find it very, very strange that this is what he took from it. And again, this is the part of this video which this is the purpose of the video, is just to explain, I guess, the differences between what people get from movies. Now he continues and says, and this is where he goes way off base even more. I know, you'd think that he'd be off base anyway. But he says, normality is threatened by monsters. The homosexuals are monsters. Cenobites are monsters. Angels to some, demons to others. Some find pleasure in their perversion. No, again, so this is the thing. Some people genuinely do like pain. Masochists and sadists. Sadists enjoy giving pain, and masochists enjoy receiving pain. That is the perversion. The leap that they've done, somewhat logical, but still quite a big jump anyway, essentially Matrix-sized jump here, is that it's all associated around the LGBT community, which is absolutely not the case. Now he continues and says they're perversions, but all of us see this as an abomination that belongs in hell, locked in and finally accepting their monstrous nature. In Carell, as in Hellraiser, it is extremely important to mention that they do something different from conventional cinema. The unusual strength of gay character movies about gay people are rarely done. Again, so that's basically what he's done here. He said, if I'm considered a monster, I will be, because that makes me happy. I find it liberating. I think it's love, my understanding. For some of us, monsters are welcome opportunities to be different, to act in anti-normal ways, hideous and beautiful at the same time. Clive Barker. Incredibly, no, that's way off base. Now, again, other people chimed in here and answered this question. Said, okay, so now he's obviously talking about, scare. The sin, I assume you are some sort of... we're not going to go into that. Now, he's just basically saying, as far as adaptations go, it is quite solid, as it is the author doing his own work. The point is that the author enjoys dark and fantastic imagery, and he wants to bring that to the screen. The film was a hit, and where there is money, there will be a sequel. So obviously, Tony Randall directed Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. Barker himself wrote a wonderful, closer to the series in novel form called The Scarlet Gospels, which takes his Harry Dahmer character and sends him to hell to fight Pinhead. Okay. So, as for the second part of your question, there are far scarier and more violent horror films than the Hellraiser franchise. Yeah, exactly. And again, now this one I found interesting. This is just one very short reply. And it just said, so if you're someone who has solved a strange puzzle box and you see these weird-looking human-like things that want you to go to hell, then you have done something stupid and can't undo it. So the point of Hellraiser is to understand three things. Your actions have consequences. They can be good or bad and can affect people in good or bad ways. The first thing you never do is to do something without thinking about what could happen. Mostly, you don't do it at all. Never take anything from strangers. Let the strangers deal with whatever they try to give you, or at least put it away or just destroy it. Again, what massively surprising kind of take-home messages from Hellraiser that these people have. Now, again, the whole point of this video is also, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but then also it's for me to give you my personal thoughts on Hellraiser. Now, in terms of my own kind of take-homes from Hellraiser, the point, as it were, is a story elevated above what we had at the time. Now, you've got to remember we had slasher flicks, just straight slasher flicks. We had the likes of Halloween, we had Friday the 13th, we had Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, what Hellraiser did was take an intellectual stance on horror. So, yes, it was imbued with the author's liking for BDSM culture and the club scene that was around at the time. It's similarities between that and The Matrix are stark. I mean, The Matrix has all the leather and latex and things like that, and that's why it's to represent goth clubs and BDSM hangouts of the time. That's why it's there. Now, with respect to Hellraiser, again, it's a reflection of the author. That's why we have it. But the whole point is that it's centered around BDSM. That's why they say we're angels to some, demons to others, i.e. pain, pleasure, Some people like it, some people don't, but you have to have the desire to try it. And that's why in Hellraiser 2, Pinhead comes along, and I'm going to be doing another video on this of whether Pinhead is or is not evil. Because I think that's an interesting question to pose. Is he an evil character? When in Hellraiser 2, we legitimately see him stopping people, his Cenobite's order, to say, no, you must have desire. It's not the box that calls us, but it is your desire. So when we're talking about what the point of Hellraiser is, we have to take a look at multi-levels. It's a multifaceted film. Yeah, it is literally all centered around BDSM. That's what it is. The demons just represent the embodiment of temptation, i.e. as well as the box. You know, it's glinting, it's gold. And that's it. And outside of the fact that, yeah, I mean, Hellraiser is just a movie and it's designed to make money, and that's the point. But I found this to be a funny / interesting topic to cover today. Now, I hope you found this interesting as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You know, you could write multiple essays on the themes that run through Hellraiser, but it all boils down to BDSM. That's all it boils down to. That's the root cause of it all. That's the purpose of it all. Some enjoy it, some don't. There you go. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Love to hear your thoughts, so let me know down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Stay up to date on the world of pop culture movie news by hitting the bell notification icon. Thanks so much. Take care.